goes to Ismail at the 2. And he gets to about the 22. The Vikings quarterback by the veteran Jim McMahon. In front of him, Bernard Daphne, McDaniel, Schreiber, Kalis, and Tim Irwin. Those who will handle the ball along with McMahon, Scotty Graham, the runner, Anthony Carter, Chris Carter, Ismail, and Steve Jordan, the veteran tight end. And they'll have it 1st and 10 at their own 23. We'll check out the Giant defensive lineup in just a moment. McMahon, healthy, serious, and on a roll. Scotty Graham hit behind the line of scrimmage by Bailey. And here is the Giant defense. They start with 3 up front: Fox, Dillard, and Hamilton. 4 linebackers: Lawrence Taylor, Michael Brooks, Bailey, and Miller. And the secondary, Raymond, Jackson, Guyton, and there was some question about Collins, but he starts. 2nd and 10, no gain for Scotty Graham on 1st down. Mark Collins, what a year he had. 2nd and 10, they go with 3 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers now. They're going to try to spread them out for Graham. Graham, a gain of about 7, stopped by Bailey again.
Yeah, that was the thing
from Brooks. Excuse me.
You were talking about, Pat, is spreading them out. And we see this is their idea. 2 receivers here, 2 receivers here. Now that spreads out the defense, you see, and then they want to come back and attack inside. And that's exactly what they did. Spread them out with the 4 wide receivers, and then get a bunch of guys to go out with those wide receivers, and then still run the ball to the inside.
3rd and 2. Jordan switches sides. Remember, they're operating against the wind. McMahon in a hurry, complete for Anthony Carter.
And this is where you're really going to see the effect on the wind. Is we know that it's tough on quarterbacks. If there's any weather the quarterbacks hate, it's throwing into the wind. But the guy that hates it worse than the quarterback is the punter. And if we're going to see the effect in the wind, you're going to see it on this play. This will be the first time you'll really see the effect.
Harry Newsom will punt for the Vikings. And standing out on the midfield portion a moment ago, the ball just dies off the side of his foot. And just as you said, what an effect on the punter. It's out of bounds, and the Giants will take over at their own 42.
Well, we know that Jim McMahon wouldn't like it, but Harry Newsom, the punter, would hate it. You know that it's in his mind there. I think that's part wind. The other part was shank.
I agree with you.
Look at that ball. I mean, the ball doesn't do anything. It doesn't spiral or anything. You just put it into the wind, and it just kind of flops.
It's just a flutter. 1st and 10, Giants at their own 43. They go with 3 tight ends to begin with, and Rodney Hampton, the running back. Hampton gets the first carry and gets a good gain of about 6. Jack Del Rio the stop. Phil Simms, an outstanding year for Phil. Opens at quarterback. Moore in place of Jumbo Elliott, Roberts, Oates, Kratch, and Riesenberg in front of Phil Simms. Hampton, Bunch, Callaway, Jackson, and Cross. That'll change a lot on almost every play. Callaway comes wide left. Jackson is split wide right. 2nd and 4. Simms to Hampton. He'll get the first down and more. To the 45. Here's the Minnesota defensive lineup now. Dolman, Randall, Tuaolo, and Roy Barker. Strickland, Del Rio, and Jenkins, the 3 linebackers. They play a 4-3. McMillan and Lee, the corners, gambling corners. Vincey Glenn and McGriggs, surprisingly good safety men. Surprisingly not because of their ability, but because you don't hear that much about them. The Minnesota defense has been tough in the first quarter. Sims strike to Callaway. inside the Viking 30, about the 27.
And that's what Phil Simms was looking for, Pat. He was talking about it yesterday, that seam pass, where you just throw right up the seam and in the seam of a zone. You'll see it here. He's going to look to the left. He has Callaway going right up the seam. You see right up the numbers, and the seam is between the cornerback, the outside defensive back, and the safety.
18-yard pickup. Nobody throws that pass better than Phil Simms.
He's the master.
Hampton to the outside to about the 17. Vincey Glenn made the stop.
That's a form of the counter. Watch William Roberts. Here's the right guard. He's going to pull. You see, along with number 84, Aaron Pierce. You see them both start out there. Boom, right there. He gets one. Boom, he gets a little one. And those were the blocks that got Rodney Hampton to the outside. Roberts got a good one. Pierce got a, kind of a half deal there, but it was enough to get Hampton out.
Second and short. Pierce in motion. To about the 12. Good blocking up front again.
And this is Giants football, running the ball and then throwing that seam pass just to get your plays going, having your mixture. Now, this one here, just start on a double team. This is just man blocking. And then the tailback, Rodney Hampton, just picks a hole. If the hole is there onside, he takes it. If not, he cuts back. That time it was right in there behind William Roberts.
Hampton already 27 yards on 4 carries. 5 carries. That'll hurt his average. Dolman around his ankles.
See, on the play before, he was able to take it straight ahead. And that time he tried to take it straight ahead. There was nothing there, so he had to bend it back. And when he bent it back right into Chris Dolman.
So Meggett and Jared Bunch check in for the Giants.
This is where the Giants want to attack the end zone here on this second and third down. They don't want to have the win and then just go for field goal.
Second and 10. Meggett's the man in motion. Beg your pardon, it was Callaway the man in motion who made the block or attempted to. Not much. Lamar McGriggs up to make the stop. Now, there's Meggett.
I think that on that play, Pat, second down would have been the time to go to the end zone because you made the decision to kick off, so you wanted to win in the first quarter. And if you're going to take the win, if that's going to be part of your decision, then offensively you have to play aggressive.
You better get some points. Dan Reeves bound up against the cold. Looks like a different man.
Yeah, he took the hat off for the national anthem. He had that other thing underneath. I didn't even know who it was.
Yeah.
That get up and the sunglasses on. But he needs an attack play here.
And Simms will try to furnish it. Into the end zone and out. Intended for Mark Jackson off his fingertips. He would have been about out of bounds out of the end zone anyway. Treadwell and the field goal unit head onto the field.
I think they had good mixture there until they got down there in this series of downs. You see, now it's tougher. Now the Vikings are just playing everything. They're just playing the end zone now. I think first and second down would have been the downs to go after that end zone or maybe go on all 3, again, especially with the win.
Horan with Treadwell trying from 26 yards. Horan the holder. And the Giants have a 3-0 lead with 8:35 left in the first quarter.
Think of all this as a large block of ice. Think of this as a chip off the old block. Coors Light's aged ice cold. So when you think of ice, think of the silver bullet. The only way to chill.
At Geo, we've thought a lot about safety. That's why Geo Prism comes with standard dual airbags and available anti-lock brakes. In addition, it's equipped with a rugged steel safety cage. You see, we not only want to make accidents easier to avoid, we also want to make them easier to to walk away from.
Call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism with over 100 standard safety features.
Ah, yes. If you have an urgent document that has to get from America over to Europe on time, as promised, or your hitherto happy career is kaput, finito, in a word, toast, don't use the biggest, most trusted delivery company in America. Use the biggest, most trusted delivery company in Europe. Thank you. UPS. Nobody's faster to Europe's business centers.
Giant Stadium, the NFL Wildcard Game, the Vikings and Giants. In the Wildcard Games, the team scoring first has lost the last 4 games. Yesterday, Green Bay beat Detroit. They'll play Dallas next week. Kansas City in overtime over Pittsburgh. Galoiso with the wind again. Ismail 5 yards deep in the end zone, and they'll bring it out to the 20. And the Vikings move back on offense again.
Hey, early again, huh, Frank?
I don't say this to many people. But what we do, the job we do,
Okay, guys, listen up.
is the most important job I can think of.
You've got a flight control check. Lewis and Randolph.
I mean,
Horoscope
there's
on
no
number
such
2.
thing as a B-plus mechanic on this airline.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Everybody knows their job. Everybody's responsible. Anybody, right down to the most junior mechanic, can keep an airplane in this hangar if there's the slightest hint of a problem. You might think, doing a job like this, day in, day out, it'd become routine. You know, just turning wrenches. But every now and then, I just go up and take a walk through the terminal. And right there, right in front of you, you see what's important.
Yeah, this is nice. Like the seats. Lots of room, that's good. Whoa, lots of room back there, too. Right, smooth. Real smooth. Ah, they must have fixed this road.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Even when it's just barely a road at all.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League Conference Wildcard Game is sponsored by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Coors Light, reach for the silver bullet, the right beer now. American Airlines, something special in the air. And by AT&T, we help put your world within reach.
Back at Giant Stadium, Pat Summerall with John Madden. Cold and windy, with the wind chill factor below 0. Looks can be deceiving, can't they?
And the Vikings are doing that again, Pat, where they're spreading this Giant defense out and probably again trying to attack the middle with it.
Jim McMahon back to throw. Ismail broke one tackle and turned what looked like no gain or a loss into a +8 or 7.
Yeah, I think as you watch Jim McMahon walk over here, see, he has to come over and see the next play. I think that one was an audible. Again, they had the 4 wide receivers. They spread them out, and then Jim McMahon made a signal with his hand, and I think that was probably an audible, and I wouldn't have been surprised if it changed from a run to a pass.
2nd and 4. McMahon to Scotty Graham. Graham breaks into the secondary for a Viking first down outside the 35. Meyer and Guyton and Greg Jackson converge to make the stop on Graham.
You see what it does, Pat? By spreading them out, then they just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if they got 5 guys in the box, then they think that they can attack it by running. You see, and by putting those 4 wide receivers, again, that just leaves 5 guys in there against the 5 blockers, and the Vikings like that to run against. They like that matchup.
First and 10, Minnesota. Graham. Slapped down at the 40 by Stacy Dillard.
You know, Scotty Graham grew up around here, and he said that he was always a Giant fan, and he was a Joe Morris fan. He said that he knew that, you know, he was in high school and he was about 5'7", and he knew he wasn't going to ever be a big running back. So he said, if I was going to have an idol, I better pick a short one. Pick Joe Morris.
He even follows the same weightlifting, weight training regimen that Joe Morris did.
Unbelievable. He said he squatted 650 pounds.
That's a lot. But he did say that. McMahon in the middle to Steve Jordan. After the wrestle, he's down at about the 44, stopped by Bailey and Dillard.
You know, McMahon is such a competitor that they say, well, the other guys are taking the wind. You got to throw into the wind, and he wears gloves. He does everything that a quarterback shouldn't do. He wears a visor. Now, how do you see through that thing? He wears gloves. How do you throw with gloves on? He got big old, you know, undershirts on under there that you can't throw. He does everything wrong and still throws it out there.
Roger Craig in the backfield now, and the handoff is to Roger Craig. Fighting for first down yardage, and I don't think he got it. He got close. They will probably have to measure this.
I tell you, watch number 76. Watch Tim Irwin here. Again, you got to get movement. They're going to run in here. They start a double team. Tim Irwin picks off his guy right there at the end. Then he knows Roger Craig needs a first down. You see Tim Irwin right at the end there. He gave him that one little extra push. That's what a 13-year veteran tackle does, who's also a lawyer in the offseason.
I was out on the field before the game. A couple of hours before the game with Tim Irwin. He said to me, what are you, nuts? You don't have to be out here. Get back up there where you belong.
And Tim Irwin didn't push Roger Craig far enough, and Denny Green is doing the proper thing. I know that, you know, you get in a game like this, and as he always says, you plan your work, and you work your plan, and emotionally you'd say, let's go for it, but during the week, you know, if you get in this situation, you have to punt.
Newsom's first punt against the wind was only 27 yards. This, too, against the wind.
And it was a flopper. I'll bet you one. I don't know how far it'll go, but I bet it doesn't spiral.
Flopper, I like that. It's going to start flopping right now. Not bad, however.
He was saying that if he just puts his hand up there to shield his eyes, don't call that a fair catch.
First down, Giants at their own 17. Sims to Hampton. Just short of the 20. Stopped by John Randall.
You know, if you look, here's the cocked nose tackle in here. You know, and he's cocked pointed in towards the center. And if you run at him, you got to double team him. If you run away, you can just do this to him. See, so he does cause a problem right there. You see when you run at him? That's Henry Thomas. And again, it causes a problem because it took 2 blockers, although Bob Krabs did a pretty good job on it.
Second and 7. Sims. Jackson out of bounds. Temperature plus 20. That does not include the wind chill factor, which makes it feel like it's below 0. And yes, it does feel like that.
Yeah, I think like we were talking, I was talking to Tim Irwin out there in the field, and we were practicing our spit. I says if you spit and it freezes before it hits the ground, it's too cold to play football, and it passed the test. We spit and it didn't freeze before it hit the ground, so we said, let's play the game.
My reaction to that is, I don't know about practicing spitting. You and Tim Irwin?
A moon boot. I've seen a lot of things in the sideline.
Sims lunges over the left, stopped by Fred Strickland. He might have gotten the first down. He did.
I think, remember that third down play that Roger Craig was in there trying to get the first down, and Tim Irwin gave him a little push. Looked like Roger hurt his leg on that play because he's been trying to get out whatever's been in there ever since that play.
First and 10 Giants at their own 28. Sims to Hampton. The blocks were there, including a good one by Callaway. Vincey Glenn made the stop.
Yeah, that was the thing that Dan Reeves really likes about Callaway. They're going to get a lead here to this side. Callaway, the outside receiver, is going to come in to block. Dolman took an inside, a good block there by Callaway, and then Rodney Hampton was able to get to 5 yards, but part of it was given to him by Dolman by taking that inside slant.
Giants in a hurry, 2nd and 5. Punts the ball carrier, wrapped up by Dolman. And Randall.
I don't mean to be critical, but I think if I had the wind with me in a day like this, I wouldn't be handing the ball to Jared Bunch.
They did a couple of things right. They got in a hurry. They got the play underway in a hurry. But I think I'd put it in the air. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think so. If you have the wind, then you ought to use it. And if you're going to use it, you ought to try that seam pass again, because they did hit it once to Callaway, and I think it's still there.
And Sims throws it, as we said, better than anybody. Pass was hit by Carlos Jenkins. He had a shot at it, but the Vikings, I believe, jumped offside. John Randall.
I think it was one of those that Phil Sims knew he had a free one. But if you have a free one, that doesn't mean you have to throw it to the other guy. The Vikings do that a lot. The Vikings jump off sides a lot because they're always up there. They're ready to go. They're a big pass rushing team. They're going to pass rush on every down.
Offsides by the defense, number 56. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Called against Dolman. But they all say, we don't care how many times you get called offside. We don't care how many times you jump. We're still going to do it. We got to get after them.
Yeah, I think you have to be a pass rushing team if that's what you are, but I also think you have to think about jumping off sides. You just can't give teams first down.
Here's Sims. To Chris Callaway again. Stopped by Carl Lee.
That's the confidence of a Phil Sims, the confidence of a 15-year veteran. The play before, he threw this same thing, this slant. You see, and it was almost intercepted by Jenkins. He came right back and threw it again. One thing they're not going to do is let Chris Dolman beat him. There's always going to, Eric Moore is always going to have help. We saw that time it was Eric Moore and Howard Cross.
Here's Sims again. To Cross. McGriggs up to make the stop. McGriggs, an ex-Giant.
Howard Cross on the play before helped block. On that play, became a receiver. Again, the Giants have 1 minute and 38 seconds left with this win. They're trying to hurry up to keep the wind and get a score.
Very wise. Hampton bent backwards at the 40. But a gain nevertheless. Win time is running out in the first quarter.
Yeah, they use a lot of guys to pull. They pull their guards, they pull their tackles, and they also pull their H-back, Aaron Pierce, and he's become a pretty good blocker.
They'll measure. Sims had a chance while they measure to run over to the sideline and talk with Dan Reeves.
Again, I think that they ought to be passing the ball just to use that wind. I think they have 1 minute and 15 seconds. They ought to pass every down. But watch Pierce in motion here, number 84. You see him start to the left, stop. Now he's going to go back to the right. See, and he just times it up with that counter. Whap, right there he gets the lead block or the lead miss that let Rodney Hampton get through there. He did a lot. His movement was a lot better than his blocking was, to be honest.
He's in motion again. He looks good coming in motion. Here's Sims. The seam intended for cross. It's become such a part of the Giant attack that's what you call it, a seam. I'm sure they have another name for it.
Well, Phil Simms calls it a seam pass, and that's his favorite pass. And he says that, you know, when Bill Parcells was here and Ron Earhart, they used to throw it all the time, and then they kind of went away from it. He said when Dan Reeves came here this year, he said he hated the seam pass. And Simms kept throwing it, and then Reeves said, hey, this isn't bad. So now it's a big part of their offense.
That's Callaway. And this is Sims. The clock still runs. That's how much time they have to take advantage of the wind. Sims did not get the first down.
I think that, you know, you can tell what a factor the wind is because, you know, they're trying to hurry up. They didn't know whether to huddle or not huddle, take a timeout or not take a timeout. But I think one thing they ought to do, again, is throw the ball, and on third down they would have to anyway.
3rd and 4. Sims gets it to Aaron Pierce, and they get a first down.
And they're taking a timeout. I think that's a smart move. If this were the second half, I don't think it would be a smart move to take a timeout. But Phil Simms, it did say timeout, and it didn't look like they stopped the clock.
They finally did with 9 seconds to go. They were only going to get one play anyway.
But I don't think they stopped the clock exactly when he called timeout. I think they lost 4 or 5 seconds.
I think you're right about that. Somebody told us yesterday it was going to be a fast game. If they leave the clock running, it will be.
If they leave the clock running when the guys call timeout,
Yeah.
if they ignore them. In fact, that's what they're looking at right now. You can see that they did put the 4 seconds back on the clock. The 3 seconds back on.
Right. Phil Simms is 5 out of 7 for 49 yards. They'll run one more play with the wind. The Giants will, with the wind at their back.
You know, if it's again, I would attack the end zone, and you know, if it's an incomplete pass, they may get 2 out of it. If it's a complete pass inside, you know, they'll probably be the last one.
Simms rolls right. Gets it out to Jackson, who stays in bounds. Now let's see about the timeout if they call it. Clock's running, a quarter's over. Jackson did not get out of bounds. That's the end of the first quarter with the score. The Giants 3, the Vikings. Vincey Glenn had a chance at an interception. He's been good at that. That one, because it bounced off Cross's fingers, I think distracted him.
And that was Phil Simms' favorite pass into the area where he says is the wind is the worst. He said the wind, you're always throwing into the wind when you're going in this direction. There's probably no one that knows this wind better than Phil Simms. And he said the closer you get to the end zone, the more windy it is. If you just go down, you'll see these flags as they change. Little wind, more wind. You see, the closer you get to the end zone, the windier it gets.
Dolman jumped. Simms has got a free play. Incomplete. Mark Jackson, the intended receiver. But the Vikings, Chris Dolman jumped offside.
And you see, and that's the second time. You know, Phil Simms, again, a 15-year veteran, a smart quarterback. You notice the thing, they jumped offsides both times on third down.
Defense, number 56. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
So they'll have another shot.
See, the thing is, you get back there and he's in the shotgun and you give him a little something to make a move. You know, it may be a little flinch. You hold a little longer count. You see Dolman right there. He was the guy that moved. But You know, and they say that they'll take those offsides, but I don't know. I think you have to be aware of them on third down.
3rd and 2. Hampton has replaced Tillman now. There's the running back. And Sims. That's their last time out in the first half. He just didn't like what he saw. 3-0.
Game warm up, and lo and behold, I saw Warren Moon here. Warren Moon's at the game.
Getting used to the cold weather, I guess. I don't know for what reason. They're home next week. Maybe business. Here's Sims. Outside and through the hands of Mark Jackson.
Tell you, in the last 3 weeks, Mark Jackson has killed him. Remember, against Phoenix, he had to fumble. He had to drop passes last week. And that was this is a big, big third down play. Sims gets here. He reads it, a little play pass. He has Cratch pull. Cratch blocks Dolman. He gets the ball out there perfectly to Mark Jackson, and he just drops the darn thing.
This is Treadwell from 34 yards, and that's about his maximum this direction. Watch the ball flutter. Way left. Way left.
And if we win by doing 3 things to you as you're kicking it there.
Well, most kickers are crazy anyway.
Well, they wear stuff that says moon boot on them.
Scotty Graham. Now the Vikings have the wind in the second quarter. Eric Howard made the stop.
And Mark Jackson has really been having a tough time in his last 3 weeks. You know, he dropped that third down pass. Even at the end of the quarter there, he could have gotten out of the bounds and given the Giants one more play with the win. He stayed in bounds. So this hasn't been a good 3-week period for Mark Jackson.
Anthony Carter comes to the left. Chris Carter to the right. Second down, McMahon to throw it. Wide open is Steve Jordan. Up close to the 40, about the 39, stopped by Michael Brooks.
There's an amazing guy, Pat. Steve Jordan, 12-year veteran, played in the Ivy League out of Brown University, had a bad knee, and they thought maybe they'd do surgery, he'd be out for the year. But Denny Green said he just worked his knee back into shape. He would work 8 to 10 hours a day in the training room on his knee.
He's got to work some more. He just limped off. Tice and Derek Tennell are the backups. Tice was lined up tight to the left. This is Scotty Graham, however. Good yards. Tough yards, but good yards.
Well, they caught Corey Miller in the inside. Corey Miller, again, is playing the inside, thinking Scotty Graham is going to be an inside runner. You see him here. He should have stayed outside. Scotty Graham takes it and then bounces it out. Corey Miller should have stayed on the outside. You see him right there. He starts to take the inside, gets tripped up a little. Scotty Graham read that and was able to bounce it to the outside.
Second down. They need 6. McMahon took a good look at the defense.
Expected a blitz. He didn't have his protection, so he called a timeout.
They need 6 for a first. McMahon scrambles away from the rush. Incomplete. Chris Carter was the intended receiver.
And the guy who was going after him was Lawrence Taylor, and the guy that Jim McMahon juked was Lawrence Taylor. You know that Jim McMahon can't do it. I mean, you know, he can't throw, he can't run, he can't do this. But watch Lawrence Taylor here, coming from the top of the screen. He goes inside of Irvin. Just as he gets inside, McMahon sees it. He's smart enough to know that and get outside. That was a good move, though, that Taylor made on Tim Irwin.
3rd and 6. Taylor's on the right this time. There he comes. They double him this time. And McMahon. Pass is caught by Anthony Carter, but he's out of bounds. So the Vikings will have to punt with the wind.
And this is a tough thing to do, you know, to throw that corner pattern against that cover 2 that the Giants use. They have that corner coming up and the safety coming over. Even though it's a zone, when you throw that pattern to the outside, it's always going to be into a form of double coverage.
Newsom back to punt. Meggett back deep for the Giants at the 15. Better kick. Much better by Newsom. Meggett's going to let it go and go into the end zone and out. So the Giants will take over at 30. The Dallas Cowboys host the Packers in the other divisional round. Rodney Hampton on first down. Stopped by Ed McDaniel.
You're talking about next week where the winner of this game playing the 49ers, and of course Green Bay Packers playing at Dallas. That was sure an effort last week here by the Dallas Cowboys and Emmitt Smith. That was one of the most courageous efforts by a player that I've ever seen in Emmitt Smith.
I agree with you. And we've seen a lot.
And today in the pregame, I saw Troy Aikman wearing a suit.
No, I don't think it was a suit.
Well, he was wearing a tie or something.
Yeah,
I don't know where he just came from. What was he wearing? He was wearing a coat and that tie and all that stuff.
Hair was combed. Hampton gets the carry. It'll bring up a third down situation for the Giants. Third and about 5. Giant plays so far 21 with the wind. 104 yards, 5 against the wind, and 5 yards. And they need 5 more. Sims will try. And he just got 5 and a little bit more to Howard Cross. First down Giants. Jack Del Rio made the stop.
I think the thing that Phil Sims knows is he knows you can still throw into the wind, and the type of pass you throw is this. You see, just that little thing, Cross goes up, he does a little hook, he gets a first down. You keep the ball low, you keep the spiral tight, and you keep the passes short, and you keep them inside. And you do all those things because you've been playing here for 15 years.
You hear so much about arm strength, but that is about the maximum you can throw with effectiveness. That's Hampton over the right side. Stopped by John Randall. Tuaolo with an assist.
And, you know, the defenses can play the wind, too. That if the offense is going into the wind, then they can shorten down the field, and they can shrink the field from the sides, too, because they know that you can't get outside, you can't throw outside, and you can't throw deep. So you can bring your corners in, they can play the run more to the inside, and you can bring your safeties up, and you can shrink the whole field down on the offense.
Meggett split wide to the right this time. The handoff is to Hampton, who's hit just as he gets to the line of scrimmage by John Randall.
See, that's what the Vikings have, is they're rushing the passer, and in rushing the passer, you watch Randall there, sometimes you'll just run right into a run. You see, they start the penetration there. Randall is going on a pass rush. He's thinking pass rush, but again, he gets a penetration, and whap, there's the runner. Watch number 93. He just starts to get penetration and runs right into Hampton. One thing they do is that defense of the Minnesota Vikings does penetrate.
3rd and 9. Sims back to throw it. Going to be a screen pass. And it's going to be effective, but does not get the first down. Short of the 40. They needed about the 41 for the first. Ed McDaniel made the stop. The Giants will have to punt. Mike Horan, the left-footed Giant kicker, has had his problems in recent weeks.
Well, I think as the wind started, Horan's problem started. And again, you know, he's a directional kicker. Dan Reeves brought him in here to directional kick. That means to kick the ball outside the numbers to the right or the left. Don't kick the ball down the middle of the field.
Carter and Parker are back deep for Minnesota. This is a pretty good kick. Over the head of Carter. Does make the catch and gets it back outside the 25 to about the 28, where the Vikings will take over. 40-yard punt.
You know, that was a heck of a punt. You know, we talk about directional punting. Watch, he's going to punt to his left. He turns to his left, and he punts there. Now, that is a heck of a spiral that can just cut right through that wind. I mean, he put something on that didn't make that ball flop. That's about as good a spiral as you can punt into this wind, and the direction was perfect also.
Caught Anthony Carter by surprise. He had to retreat and catch the ball like he would have passed over his shoulder.
He said, there's no way a guy can punt it this far.
McMahon to Jordan, incomplete. Jackson up to make the stop. Again, Lawrence Taylor puts some heat on McMahon. You know, Jim McMahon, who's 3 out of 7, down on the field, I was talking to him before the game. I said, you don't mind this cold weather, this windy weather, those years in Chicago? He said, who told you that? I hate cold weather. I don't like to play in cold weather. That's a myth.
Jim McMahon's a rebel. He's going to hate whatever you say you don't hate. Whatever you say, he was going to say, no, I do hate it. He said he doesn't, he does. You say he does, he doesn't.
Here's McMahon back to throw. Steps up in the pocket, gets it out to Scotty Graham. Scotty Graham gets a Viking first down out to a 44-yard line. Myron Guyton finally made the stop. But Minnesota gets the first.
You know, one thing about Jim McMahon, when he goes back, he not only sees everything, but he feels everything. Watch Keith Hamilton right there, number 75. He's going to jump up and leave his feet. Now, the minute that he jumped up, he took a lane that McMahon was looking at. He took that lane away from him, and then McMahon just went out to the left and found another lane.
Vikings this time go with those 4 wide receivers to spread them out. McMahon goes wide. But the Giants get there in a hurry. That's Jake Reed that made the catch. Mark Collins was the first tackler.
The Vikings feel that if you play 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers against this Giant defense, that you're playing right into their hands. You either have to play 2 or 3 tight ends or 3 or 4 wide receivers, but don't play a regular offense against this Giant defense because you're playing right into their hands.
2nd and 7. Vikings again, I don't want to be redundant, but operating with the wind. Reverse the Carter, juggled it. Cuts back across midfield to about the Giant 49, 48 maybe.
You know, that's the first time that one of the Carters has gotten the ball, and I think if the Minnesota Vikings are going to do anything, they have to get the ball to one of the Carters when they have the win. Now, they can throw it to him here. They're trying it on a reverse. And again, Anthony Carter is a great open field runner. That's why he was back there as a punt returner, too. But neither Carter has caught a pass yet.
3rd and 2. Scotty Graham is the runner. Down to 1 second on the game clock. McMahon ships 1 tackler. Throws intended for Jordan in a hurry. It's incomplete, and the Giants force a Viking punt.
And this Giant crowd knows their defense. Did you hear him? It starts to get 3rd down. The crowd starts, and you can feel them getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when that ball snapped, it's tough for the quarterback to hear. And then, of course, when they stop him, they just go crazy.
Harry Newsom's punting. The wind tells you the story about that. Megan standing back inside the 10. Newsom, a high kick this time. Megan signals fair catch and makes it at the 19. So the Giants take over at their own, just inside their own 20, at about the 20 make it. The Giants will take over. Jackson in motion. Pitches back to Hampton. Hampton to the line of scrimmage. Maybe the last surge got him a yard.
You know, one thing, the Giants are trying to take advantage of Chris Dolman, and what he's doing is he's trying to take an inside. You see him here. Now, he's trying to take an inside here on Eric Moore, so they're just bringing the ball right outside of him. You see, he's coming in here. See him take the inside. He's running himself right out of the play. So if he wants to take that inside, then they're trying to get that pitch out there and get outside of him.
2nd and 9. The other defensive players have been able to stop them so far. Here's Hampton straight ahead. They tried to trap. Trap didn't work. perhaps a little impatient with the Giant conservative approach. A few boos here and there. But against the wind, you just can't operate.
And one thing about the Minnesota Vikings is, even though they're pass rushers and they're all going to rush your passer, they do pursue and they do gang tackle. That's a Tony Dungy type of defense that any play that they run, he wants all white jerseys going to the ball.
Speaking of Tony Dungy, he was telling us last night he thought it was going to be a very fast game. And so far, it really has been. Sims gets it out to Megan. Megan hit at the 25 by Anthony Parker.
The other thing the Viking defense does besides pursue and gang tackle is that they tackle well. They're a good tackling defense now.
A good defensive series by Minnesota. And Horan will have to punt again, this time from back at his own 10. Again, Anthony Carter and Anthony Parker back deep for the Vikings, standing at the 40. If Horan can kick another one like he did last time, everybody will be happy. This is a flopper. Parker signals fair catch. And the Vikings take over closer to midfield.
Did you see the interesting thing, Pat, there is that...
And that's how much time they have in this half with the wind at their back. So McMahon's got to go to work. He gives it to Scotty Graham. Eric Howard is the first Giant there, nothing doing.
Yeah, Scotty Graham didn't run on that play. I don't know what, but you can't. If you're going to run against these Giants, you better take the ball and wham it in there. I mean, he was tiptoeing there like he was looking for something to happen. I mean, watch him. If you're going to run the ball, take it and run it. But he gets the ball here, and you start doing that against the Giants, all they're going to do is have about 6, 7 guys come and jump on you. I mean, you're either going to run it, take it up in there and run the darn thing, or don't run it. But you can't do that.
That run was like he was back in the pharmacy where he was 3 months ago.
And running like that will send you back to the pharmacy.
Second and 11. McMahon has some protection. Gets it to Anthony Carter. And it's a Viking first down in Giant territory at their 41.
That's the first time that one of the Carters has caught the ball. And again, they're playing off. They're giving him a little cushion there. Now here, Mark Collins, we know, has that knee injury. He's playing a little softer today. He gave Anthony Carter a lot of cushion out there. In fact, Greg Jackson had to make the tackle for Mark Collins. I'm surprised that the Vikings haven't tried more against Collins to test him out.
4 wide receivers. McMahon gives to Graham. Graham gets very little. Mike Fox and Keith Hamilton converge to make the snap.
Yeah, we were talking to Jim McMahon last night about, that over the years, Anthony Carter has been a great wide receiver in this league, but Chris Carter has really come on and caught more passes and been the go-to guy. And Jim McMahon says the go-to guy to me is the first guy that gets open.
Got a field goal, and that's the score, 3-0. Viking second down and 9 at the Giant 40. They make the reverse. McMahon going deep for Chris Carter. Touchdown, Viking.
Yeah, we were just saying that they hadn't thrown to the Carters. We were just saying that they really haven't tried Mark Collins. Mark Collins injured his knee in practice, didn't know if he would play.
John, and you get the kickoff. What kind of an approach do you take? That's all he could do.
And, that was a little late. He had to wait there a little while, and while he was waiting, he positioned his butt.
Kickoff is short. Callaway retreats to about the 11, and he is hit down hard by the Viking coverage inside the 20. Lamar McGriggs down to make the stop with Brent Novoselsky.
Yeah, I think the Giants, and you don't like to be conservative, and that that's not the way to end a half, but I think that this game is going to be the game that we've been talking about. It's going to be with the wind and against the wind, and you don't want to do anything stupid. And you don't want to do anything stupid into the wind anyway.
And they have no timeouts left either. He's going to throw it. But it's going to be a screen pass. Rodney Hampton gets up to about the 25, 26 maybe. Stopped by Carl Lee. Tried to strip the ball loose, but didn't.
I think the fans want something to happen. I don't know if they realize, but I'm sure they do. These are very smart fans. I don't know if they realize the Giants that don't have any timeouts left.
And are going against that wind.
Yeah, that's right. And they're huddling up. They probably, the ones that know they don't have any timeouts left, are saying, what the heck you huddling up for? And the ones that don't know they don't have any timeouts left are saying, why don't you take a timeout?
It's because those fans are all huddled up. They don't realize those things. There's a running play to Hampton. Good tackle by Vincey Glenn.
That's one thing that's really impressed me in this first half about this Viking defense. We knew they were a good defense, a good pass rushing defense, but they've been tackling awfully crisply.
Sims stopped the clock on first down. Again, no timeouts left. And just look at the offense with the wind and against the wind.
Yeah, but the biggest thing, I think, is we see that the Giants did a lot more with the wind, but they only got 3 points. I think when they had to win, I don't think they were aggressive at the end of the first quarter. Conversely, we saw that the Vikings were aggressive. They went the bootleg and the deep pass to Chris Carter against Mark Collins.
Remember that haunted them 2 or 3 weeks ago against Phoenix when they got down close and only got field goals. And Phoenix came back in the second half. There's Sims. Doesn't see the men coming from behind. That's a pass, not a fumble. Roy Barker around the corner. Stayed in pursuit.
We know that the Minnesota Viking, about Chris Dolman, about Randall and Henry Thomas, but this Roy Barker is starting to come now, and they think that, that they lost Al Noga a year ago, and Barker had a start and had a slow start, then a pretty good middle, but he's coming up pretty strong here at the end.
3rd and 10. Now the Vikings might think about calling a timeout. Here's Sims rolling left, chased by Dolman, throwing back right to make it. He tried to throw it, and nothing is there.
Yeah, that was Dan Reeves' trick. He was going to...
Horan's punt is partially blocked. Took a little bit of a giant bounce. The Vikings run away from it. And they'll take over at the Giant 35 with a timeout left. I think it might have hit Greg Jackson in the rear.
Back, and Horan punted the ball right into Jackson. Now, Jackson came too far back or was pushed too far back, and Horan went too far forward. And watch that. Jackson is pushed right back into Horan, and Jackson is the guy that blocked the punt.
Whatever. It's first down Vikings at the Giant 36. And McMahon is going to throw. He does. Yeah. Scotty Graham, who might wish he didn't catch it. He's hit by Michael Brooks. And McMahon will call a timeout with 2 seconds left.
I'll say this about the Minnesota Vikings, Pat. It's just the first half, but the Minnesota Vikings played this first half much more aggressively than the Giants did.
Megan runs it down and runs out of bounds, and that'll end the first half. That's the end of the first half with the score. The Vikings 10, the Giants 3.
Nuclear experiments on Americans. One network news broadcast broke the story, broke later developments, and is on it still. The CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
The NAFTA debate is over. Now it's time for MAFTA, the Monday After Football Trade Agreement. CBS wants all Americans to trade in their Monday Night Football for these hilarious comedies. I got a chart right here that puts it all in simple terms.
Support MAFTA. Watch the Monday Night comedies.
It's got the laughter you're after.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League Conference Wildcard Game is sponsored by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. Delta Airlines, you'll love the way we fly. The U.S. Army, be all you can be. And by Dean Witter, measuring success one investor at a time.
As always, Giant Stadium, packed house. Their Giants trail by the score of 10-3 to the Vikings. And very interesting comment John Madden just made. Jim McMahon doesn't look like he should even be playing. He can't throw, he can't run, he's all beat up. His arm is not what it was, but he can do one thing, John.
He can beat you.
That's right.
You know, and that's what Jim McMahon's all about. I mean, he does everything wrong. Like, you can't wear a visor and play quarterback because you can't even see through that thing. And you shouldn't have all that stuff, all those undershirts on and long sleeves and stuff. You can't play quarterback and wear gloves because you can't throw the ball. And he does all those things. And, you know, Jim McMahon can't do it, but he beats you.
If you dropped him in the water, he'd go right straight to the bottom.
That's right.
But if he could get loose, his team would come out on top.
Yeah, he'd end up on the beach somehow.
Yeah.
He'd go straight to the bottom and end up on the beach because he's a great competitor. I mean, you know, you can't take that away. I mean, the guy, you know, has been. I mean, he's been in Super Bowls. He's won Super Bowls. He knows how to lead a team. The players like him, and he has all those things that maybe the intangibles overcome some of the other things that he lacks.
I guess a pretty good clue to what kind of guy he is, McMahon, is he's a good golfer, but he plays barefooted.
Yeah, I was in a golf tournament once with him, par 5, dog leg right on the opening on the first hole. He just hit it right over the dog leg.
Yeah.
First shot out of the thing, it was just like John Daly.
Yeah, Uiso's kickoff with the wind is handled by Ismail, and a flag on the play as Ismail brings it back to about the 27-yard line. Flag on the play. And you know what this is.
Well, of course, we also know what the Vikings decided to do.
Yep.
They decided that they want to win in the fourth quarter. They're going to give the Giants the wind in this third quarter. And for the Giants, this is a good start because they're going to get the win and this penalty.
Return, holding by the receiving team, number 85. 10-yard penalty, first down.
First down, Vikings, and that penalty backs them up inside the 15.
What's always impressed me, Pat, about Giants fans is they know football. I mean, they know that was a big thing, that the Vikings are going into the win, and they just got a 10-yard penalty.
Here's Scotty Graham. He is met by a host of Giants. Keith Hamilton was the first guy there. Corey Miller and crew knocked him out of bounds. Let's look at halftime statistics again. We just got a peek at these. Time of possession, the Giants own that 18-11 plus in both situations, but that's pretty regulation for the Giants. They do keep the ball a lot. They had 10 first downs to 5 for Minnesota, but Minnesota leads at 10-3, second and 11.
See, now the Vikings are going back to that thing, Pat. Spread them out. See how they have the 4 wide receivers spread this Giant defense out.
McMahon. Pass is almost picked off by Collins. It was behind the intended receiver, well behind. McMahon was hit. It was intended for Ismail.
Watch number 93, Mike Fox. You see, he comes off his block. And he hits McMahon, and he hits him right into Keith Hamilton. They made a sandwich out of McMahon.
And he's still down.
The first guy there was Mike Fox. Watch number 93 there. See, he comes off his block. McMahon doesn't see him coming. He hits him right there, and then hits him right into Keith Hamilton. You know, Jim McMahon tried to get up there, Pat, for a minute, and then they had to sit him back down.
And now he's lying down.
You remember when he was here with the Philadelphia Eagles, and He got injured here in this stadium, and I think he had a rib.
There's Sean Salisbury. That's the first time today he was knocked down, had one batted ball. Salisbury was number 12, loosening up for the Vikings over on the sideline. That's not much loosening up. That's taking snaps just as if you're going to run plays.
You know, again, you're going to see number 93, Mike Fox, good hit, good legal hit, and he hits him right into him, and then Keith Hamilton was coming from the other side.
Sort of bent his head and his neck back when he hit Hamilton. Now McMahon, that looks better, is up.
Introducing one of the most visually distinct automobiles you've ever seen, and the most technologically advanced Celica Toyota has ever created. The all-new Toyota Celica, with sophisticated safety systems, available ABS, standard driver and passenger side airbags. But despite all this technology, when people see the new Celica, there's only one thing that keeps coming to mind. Watch out, it's here.
Sure, you've got a car, got a dog, even got some fun-loving friends. But have you got what it takes to be a mountain man? All it really takes are the two cool beers of the mountain man. Smooth Busch beer and easy drinking Busch Light. So, be a mountain man. All you gotta do is head for the mountains.
Here's Mike Fox. He's going to be the first guy there. He's Keith Hamilton. He'll be the second guy here. Randall McDaniel tries to cut Fox. And you'll see what happens when he fires out to cut him. And he misses him right there. And now Fox has the free shot. And watch Hamilton come in and give a forearm right there to Jim McMahon's head. That was where he got it, the forearm of Keith Hamilton.
That's Salisbury. Chris Carter. Carter fumbles, the ball goes out of bounds. He doesn't get the first down, but he picks up the crucial yards. He gives Newsom a little bit of room. He's punting against the wind. The word on Jim McMahon is that he has a mild concussion. We'll just wait and see about his return.
It wasn't the hit of Mike Fox on him. It was the forearm of Keith Hamilton that got the mild concussion.
The Giants, as the Vikings did in the first half, have two men back now to return the punt. Meggett and Callaway. Here's Newsom. This is a pretty good kick. Chases Meggett back to his own 32. And Meggett steps out of bounds at the 37. Greg Minuski.
You know, this is, to me, Pat, what it's all about now for the Giants. I think that this could be their whole season. I think this is the second time they have the wind. In a game like this, you're going to have the wind for 2 quarters. They had it in the first. They're going to have it here in the third. We talked about the first. They weren't aggressive. And if they're going to win this game, if they're going to go on, if they're going to play the 49ers next week, I think in this quarter, they have to be aggressive offensively.
Hampton and Bunch are the two setbacks. And Sims is going right to work. And has Callaway dropped it? Incomplete, it's called. Incomplete. Flag on the play. I don't know what this is about. He may have just dropped it accidentally.
I think
there was no flag on the play.
No
I think
flag.
That's what he was saying, Pat, that if it did come out of there, it didn't mean to, and he's back there now trying to put it back in. We talked about the seam pattern. Here it is. You just run right up the seam of the zone. Perfect pass by Phil Sims, and that one there was just a good hit. I mean, that one there was just hit. I mean, the ball just got knocked out of there.
McMillan knocked it loose. 2nd and 10. They'll have to throw it again. Dolman with pressure on Sims to get the screen pass out, which is chased down from behind by Tualo. McMahon up throwing. He had as we told you, a slight concussion. It'll be 3rd and 7 coming up, but McMahon is back up throwing. Salisbury, who replaced McMahon, does have a better arm, but his W&L win and loss record is not as good.
Yeah, and I think in this game, in a playoff game, in this situation, Denny Green wants Jim McMahon in there, and there's no one that wants Jim McMahon in there more than Jim McMahon.
3rd and 7. Sims back to throw it. Dumps it off to Megan. And Megan gets a Giant first down. There was some question before the game as to whether or not Meggett would be effective and whether or not he could play, but he looks okay here.
Heck of a play here by Meggett, because I've always been one that says if you have 3rd down that you want to throw the ball for the 1st down. Don't throw it short and rely on the run. But I guess if you have a guy like Meggett, you could see Sims was looking deep, but a guy that can make these kind of moves, maybe you can throw it short to him on 3rd down.
1st and 10. Hampton gets the carry, and Hampton is off to the races. Hampton still on his feet. Rodney Hampton, touchdown Giants. 51-yard sprint by Rodney Hampton. A couple of Vikings had shots at Hampton, but they couldn't get him down. He's over 100 yards today. 51 of them came on that touchdown run. Treadwell will try to tie it up, does. 10-10.
The Giants had to be aggressive, Pat. This is aggressive running.
10-10 tie.
This is a line. To some, it is seen as a barrier. To others, it's a point where traditions of the past are abandoned in favor of visions of the future. Introducing the revolutionary new Toyota Supra. It's taken everything sports cars were before and crossed the line.
Every day in 34 countries and in over 300 cities around the world, Delta Airlines helps people get down to business. Every 17 seconds, Delta has a flight taking off to the world of facts and figures, buying and selling, budgets and bottom lines. And when the job is done, we have just as many flights to bring you back to the world of mommies and daddies, husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, and best friends. Delta Airlines.
She was kidnapped by a madman. Now the manhunt begins.
I just hope we find a live woman.
Justine Bateman, Joe Penny, Terror in the Night. Tuesday contains some violent scenes.
10-10 tie. Rodney Hampton from 51 yards away scored the tying touchdown. Galuiso's kickoff sailed wide right to Ismail again. He is chased, and he's not going anywhere. Knocked out of bounds at the 6.
They brought their aggression out with it. Watch the touchdown play. Here's Howard Cross, Doug Riesenberg. They get the thing started. Combination block. They block 2. Now watch this. They block the end. Then Howard Cross comes up, gets a linebacker there. That's the start of the play right there. See that down there in the bottom? That gets him to the outside. But watch his straight arm that he does on Carlos Jenkins, number 51, right there. Rodney Hampton made that last 20 yards on his own.
And that's the longest touchdown run in Giant postseason history. Jim McMahon back at quarterback for the Vikings. A 10-10 tie. First and 10 at the 7. Jordan in motion. McMahon was going to run it himself. And he gets to about the 12.
And you wonder if he still doesn't have that concussion when his first play is a quarterback sneak. But again, that's Jim McMahon. And he's going to find a soft spot there. He just looks. Maybe he didn't see something or someone to hand it to and decided, what the heck, I'm going to run to the left.
He came over for a long look at the bench like he couldn't see the signal.
Yeah, he has a hard time with that shield on, and he doesn't have good eyesight anyway. And the farther they are from the bench, the more difficult time he has getting the signal.
Outside of that, he's fine. Here's Scotty Graham. Flag on the play, and this is going to erase a key gain for Minnesota. Meyer and Guyton made the stop. But a penalty is called. Holding against Minnesota. That's a big penalty.
That's the second big penalty against Minnesota. Remember the opening kickoff.
Holding
return.
By the offense, number 64. Half the distance to the goal, repeat second down.
64, of course, is their all-pro guard, Randall McDaniel.
64 we're going to see right there is Randall McDaniel. And he's going to pull to the right. And right there, he made the block. In fact, it became a tackle.
Yep. A takedown.
And that's exactly what it was. If he would have just stayed with the block, I think the defensive guy was going to take himself out of the play anyway.
Second and 11. That is a big penalty. Costly. McMahon has Graham behind him. They'll come back with the same play. Not the same result. Carlton Bailey up to make the stop.
Carlton Bailey played that one perfectly. Now we know that they're going to come here. Now he has to run. You want to stay inside it, stay inside it, stay inside it, and then make your hit. You see, you want to stay inside that runner. Don't let him have the cutback. See how he stays inside, and now, right now, he can make his move.
And that's a good move by Bailey. 3rd and 12. Graham lost a yard. Don't be foolish here if you're a Minnesota Viking. Here's McMahon. Throws it away. And Minnesota will have to punt out of the end zone.
I think you're exactly right. I think when you're going into the wind, don't do anything stupid. When you're going with the wind, be aggressive.
Dennis Green looking on.
And he's probably looking on and thinking that maybe he shouldn't have given the Giants the wind in this third quarter because he did have the momentum at the end of the half.
He did think about it. Newsom under the goalpost. Got to be careful not to step out of the end zone. Off the side of his foot. Bounces out of bounds. The Giants will take over at the 22.
And again, I think this is where the Giants really have to go after him. I think they have to come out again and be aggressive, go right after him. That's what these fans are telling him, too.
Well, Dan Reeves has said sometimes the players don't understand what he is saying. This is a time to understand one of those words about going for the jugular vein. That was Mark Collins. They were just taking off the sideline. And Dan Reeves, now is the time to go for the jugular. Pearson motion. That's Hampton again. Wrapped up by Henry Thomas. A yard, perhaps.
Yeah, Hampton is one of those guys that I think is a better second half player than a first half player. And he says what he has to do is you have to get in the groove to run. And we talked about Mark Collins being hurt. You can see that they're working on him now.
Yep.
He got hurt Wednesday in practice. He was going up, a ball was thrown to Mark Jackson, and he was going up for it, and he came down and twisted his knee, and it was doubtful that he would be able to play for a while.
Here's the draw play to Tillman. Tillman is cut down by Audrey McMillan, the cornerback. And Strickland, the linebacker, as they converged quickly.
And the Giants just don't like to throw on second down, but to me, that's part of being aggressive. And maybe you don't throw much on second down, but when you have the wind and you're only going to have it for, 8 more minutes, I think that would have been a good time to throw on second down.
The Giants have McCaffrey and Jackson split wide to the right. Meggett's in the backfield. Callaway is wide left. Jackson in motion. The Vikings jumped offside. Sims is still going to go through with the play, and he does. That's Derek Brown scrambling, and he's got enough for a first down. Stopped by Roy Parker.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to figure it out sometime that it's third down is when they're doing that. Now, if it were the Vikings who were offsides, that was a free play for Phil Simms. The Vikings are arguing that it was against the Giants that they drew him offside.
Let's see.
But the Vikings do jump offsides a lot.
There was a double foul on the play. Offsides by the defense, number 92. Illegal motion by the offense, the tailback. The penalty's offset. A replay third down.
Now let's see if they jump. I bet you they don't.
Now the guy that jumped that time was Roy Barker. They already had gotten Chris Dolman on 2 third down plays. They got Barker on a third down play. I know they say that they don't care about it, but I think at some point you better say, hey, we do care about it. Let's be aggressive. Let's rush the passer. Let's do all those things, but let's watch the ball and not jump off sides.
It's 3rd and 8. Meggett remains. Jackson comes wide left. McCaffrey's in the slot to the Sims right. And Sims is back to throw it. He has time. Did have time. Nice. Bill Sims takes off. And he's going to be short of a first down. I believe it's going to be close. Very close.
And I think, again, this whole thing, aggressive. You have the wind. You have to be aggressive. I think if the Giants are short, I think they have to go for it here on 4th down.
And here comes the unit to go for it. And Dan Reeves agrees with you. It's 4th and short. They're going to measure. That much left. Sims has been over for his visit. It's going to be Hampton and Bunch behind Phil Sims.
And you would think that it would be a Jared Bunch lead and a Hampton run. I think, it doesn't look like far. Maybe you could quarterback sneak it, but I think you better get the lead and you better get it to your best running back.
The Vikings have a player right in front of Bart Oates, the center. Hampton has it. First down, Giants. First and 10 at the 15. Callaway left, Jackson right. They go in a hurry. Rodney Hampton cuts back. Hampton is inside the 10. Tripped up by Audrey McMillan.
I think one thing the Giants, and they did this a week ago, Pat, remember against the Dallas Cowboys? They didn't look like they were real aggressive. They didn't look like they had anything in sync in the first half. They went in at halftime. They came out in the second half, and they really played the Cowboys tough last week. They're doing the same thing here today.
Dan Reeves said it was not an inspirational speech that did it. They just did it. Hampton, the surge gets him down to about the 8. Stopped by Henry Thomas.
Well, one thing, their offensive line is starting to take over now. I mean, that big run by Hampton, we saw Riesenberg out there, one of the most underrated guys on this team, a guy that's always there. You don't talk about much, but he and Howard Cross, one of the best blocking tight ends in the game. I think this group here has really taken control in this third quarter.
3rd and 2. Hampton is the setback. Passing formation. But Hampton gets the carry. Hampton is down to the 2. Fred Strickland made the stop. Again, all this done with the wind. It'll be 1st and goal at the 2.
When Rodney Hampton was saying, you know, he said, I just hope we get to the running game and we stick to it. And again, you can see that he's in the flow of the running game, that he has the feel of it now.
Hampton's 2nd touchdown of the day. And the Giants go ahead 16-10.
The Giants, the offensive line, and Rodney Hampton came over and have taken over this second half.
Hampton has 23 carries, 128 yards, and both Giant touchdowns.
And Reeves was aggressive. That 4th down, he did what he had to. He went for it.
Treadwell, the extra point is botched. Treadwell's going to take off with it, and he gets in anyway. Snap was bobbled by the holder, Horan, and Treadwell ran in for the extra point. Here's a touchdown.
Again, good block by Bob Cratch there. Cratch was the guy that made the block that got Hampton into the end zone. And who says kickers can't run, Pat? Look at Treadwell. Turn it on. Turn on those burners. Speed kills.
Wasn't really a burner.
At the Laporte Vineyards, owners Victor and Beth Laporte knew varietal grapes, but profit sharing and pension plans they knew little about. So they turned to someone who gave their financial needs the same care they accorded their wine. Dean Witter.
Where we invest is in the individual. What we invest is our time, our expertise, and our care.
So the Laportes can now not only enjoy success, they can taste it. Dean Witter.
We measure success one investor at a time.
Besides being an educator, Jim Elkins is a collector of antiques and an occasional Montana trout. Having owned a dozen Toyota cars, Jim naturally made the T100 his first Toyota truck. Your typical big truck owner? No. But then the T100 is not your typical truck. Observe the Detroit Free Press. The cabin reminds one of the Toyota Camry in equipment and comfort. The Toyota T100 puts you in a whole new class.
If you're in a hurry to get to work in the morning, remember at McDonald's we make breakfast fast. Then again, why are you in a hurry to get to work?
Megan! Where's Megan? I want to talk to Megan when he comes home. Get me, Megan!
Oh please, just help me this once.
Oh. Next time, get a dependable Interstate battery. We check them before you buy them for fresh power. Guaranteed.
She revealed her hometown's nasty little secrets. No wonder they call her the Nasty Girl. What secrets? What town? 60 Minutes tonight.
We're in the 3rd quarter of the NFC Wildcard game between the Giants and the Vikings at 17-10. Deloiso to kick off with the wind. Ismail standing back deep for Minnesota. Deloiso's kick is going to be fielded at the 1, fumbled at the 1 by Ismail, still fumbling. Out of bounds at the 5-yard line. And that's where the Vikings will start from, right at the 5.
We give birth to the product. The customer gives life to it. We need the dreams of the people. If people would stop dreaming, we would be useless. You know, there was the time where some customer would pay with a piece of paper I owe Hermes. Then another one said, I have the same, but it's called American Express. Why not?
American Express can give life to a lot of dreams. We even know how to make them come true.
With full confidence, I submit to you an affordable economic package.
Senator, this will cost only $10.99.
$10.99.
The man's an idiot.
I'll say it again.
Would somebody call security?
$10.99.
What could anyone possibly get for $10.99?
I'm glad you asked.
Bigfoot Pizza from Pizza Hut with that special crust delivered for only $10.99.
Hey, Dad, who's going to sponsor this bill?
Bigfoot Pizza, a legendary value.
Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Look to us for special delivery. Call us. We'll arrange to pick you up at your home, office, or repair shop. That's special delivery. That's Enterprise.
If you're looking for a national cellular network, we can recommend one. Cellular One. Clear across America.
Watch Bob Cratch on the touchdown play. He's here. He's going to start off on John Randall, then come up and get Fred Strickland. He gets two. The interesting thing about this play, Pat, is that they didn't huddle up. This was a no-huddle play. Watch Cratch there. Comes off the block. Boom, you start the block there. Throw your arm. Come up, get this guy. Rodney Hampton sees that, gets right in behind Bob Cratch. And again, that play was no huddle. The Giants ran the play before that, just got up in the line of scrimmage and ran that play and said, Cratch, you get two. Hampton, you get right in behind him.
It'll be 1st and 10 Minnesota when this timeout, when they get things started on the field. The starting field position for the Vikings has averaged their own 8 against the wind. This time they're at the 4. To throw, flag on the play. The pass is knocked down by Michael Brooks and Carlton Bailey. It was intended for Derek Tennell. But a penalty marker down. They could be further back if the Giants choose to accept the penalty.
Prior to the snap, false start by the offense number 80. Half the distance to the goal, it remains first down.
Prior to the snap, so they have to accept the penalty. But it'll still be first down. Chris Carter moved ahead of time.
The one thing that the Minnesota Vikings, if they stay alive, that they ought to work on is getting everyone off together. I mean, both offensively and defensively, those are penalties that you shouldn't have. I mean, guys shouldn't be jumping on offense. I don't care what you say, and guys shouldn't be jumping on defense, especially on third down.
They've been penalized 5 times. The Giants, none. Zone to throw it. Anthony Carter had it and juggled it and kept it. That's a big catch by Anthony Carter, covered by Greg Jackson. And a good throw by McMahon.
Yeah, that's what we talk about McMahon. You know that he can't do it. You know that he can't make that throw. He gets in his own end zone, throws it out there to Anthony Carter again against that 2-deep zone. Corner has the short, the safety is deep, and you throw it between the short corner and the safety coming over.
First down, Minnesota, and that gives them a little breathing room.
And it takes a little time off the clock and gets them into the fourth quarter, which the Vikings would want to do.
Chris Carter is the man on the move. The handoff is to Graham, and he just slips down in his own backfield. A loss of yardage.
You know who's playing well here is Mike Fox today. You want to, again, as the ball starts away from you, the backside always wants to be in a lane so that there's no cutback. You see the Giants playing the cutback. There's no place to cut back, so Scotty Graham just runs right into his own guy.
On the bottom of that pile is Lawrence Taylor.
Well, watch him. He reads that block. He sees McDaniel coming, and he gets right underneath it and makes a pile.
McMahon back to throw it. Struggles out of the pocket, chased by the Giants, and runs out of bounds and is dragged down, and here's a flag on the play. Unnecessary roughness is going to be called against Keith Hamilton. Miller also involved, and he was well out of bounds. You can't really complain too much about that penalty call.
Yeah, because they should have known it. He was trying to get out of bounds, too. Now, the one official took him a while to call it. He didn't call it right away. He waited. And the one thing...
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness on the defense. Pull the man unnecessarily down out of bounds. 15 yards, automatic first down.
And what Hamilton is saying is he was still on the field, and I think he's right. Watch him. He grabs him here. He's still in there. He's still on the field. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Keith Hamilton got a bad call against him. You can't do that. I mean, he's still playing. The guy's going. He grabs him. Watch him. He grabbed him while he was still in bounds and then rolled him out of bounds. That was a bad penalty.
It's 1st and 10 Minnesota at the 40. This is Scotty Graham skipping out to about the 44. Stopped by Michael Brooks.
Hey, Jim McMahon is back there and limping, and I'm not sure, you know, he has trouble seeing the signals. He has to walk halfway over to the sideline to get the signals. Looks like on one thing he has a little daze from that slight concussion. He looks like he's limping.
Outside of that, he's fine. Second down and 6. McMahon fakes to Graham. Fakes again. Gets the pass off to Steve Jordan. And McMahon is still down after he took another hit.
And that was Mike Fox again. I think what McMahon did is he used the ball to make a fake. Watch him, he fakes here, and then he uses the ball to fake out a defender, to fake out Lawrence Taylor. You see him fake Taylor there with the ball, and that made him hold it a little longer, and Mike Fox, number 93, came from the backside.
McMahon still down. Do we have a 3 knockdown rule?
Well, you see the first time Lawrence Taylor's there. You see it, he fakes the ball, brings it back to get it away from Taylor. Then he holds it a little longer to complete it, and there's Mike Fox.
And his head hit the ground, and he stayed there.
You know, I think...
He's some warrior. 3rd and very short. McMahon still down. Sean Salisbury loosening up.
It began as a friendly game. Then it took on a life of its own, changing the way you look at football and beer. But if you think you've seen everything, just wait. You haven't. Grab a ticket wherever you buy Budweiser, Bud Light, and Bud Dry. You could win $1 million. Bud Bowl 6. It's gonna blow you away.
I'm in this Italian opera to prove how Italian Subway's Italian subs are. For a limited time, enjoy our spicy pizza sub or Italian steak, both with Carm's marinara, sauce from a recipe by our founder's mother. So open up and say ciao.
New hot Italian subs from $1.69 at Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
You're kidding. The heat's off on Saturday? I can't get a copy of Fixed on Saturday. That's helpful.
Technical support is closed on Saturday and...
Please send up some coffees.
UPS introduces Saturday Pickup.
You'll pick up the package?
With guaranteed tracking and guaranteed air delivery by 10:30 a.m. Monday.
Great.
Coffee.
All for less than our competitors.
How you doing? Hi.
Finally, something on Saturday.
Iced coffee.
Guaranteed to go right. UPS.
NFC Wildcard Game, the Giants leading the Vikings 17-10. Jim McMahon under pressure, and he has been.
Well, you can see he was hurried 10 times. He's been knocked down twice, but both of those knockdowns have also been knockouts and have knocked him out of the game.
3rd and short. Sean Salisbury is the quarterback. McMahon in the backfield with Scotty Graham. 1st down, Minnesota. They're doing this against the wind.
And what the Minnesota Vikings do on short yardage is they put their all-pro left guard Randall McDaniel in there, and he's going to be the lead blocker. And, of course, Scotty Graham just gets right in behind him. So when he's in there, you know where the ball's going. He's going to lead you to it. Graham knows who he's supposed to follow. His all-pro guard who's playing as a fullback in short yardage.
1st and 10, Minnesota. Anthony Carter is the man in motion. The handoff is to Scotty Graham. Into the secondary and close to another Minnesota first down. Stopped by Raymond.
Bill Sims again has to stay warm over there, and that's one thing that a drive like this, you remember this drive, McMahon was a big part of it. This drive started, they had them backed up, they got the penalty, they were playing out of their own end zone, but the Minnesota Vikings have done a good job going into the wind on this drive.
They really have.
And they just have to play to get into the 4th quarter now.
And they're still checking McMahon. Now they'll measure.
Yeah, I think if a guy has had a concussion or has a concussion, he shouldn't play anymore. I don't agree with that. I mean, they always talk about boxing and boxing being archaic, but if a fighter gets knocked out, he can't fight for another month. And sometimes in football, we say, oh, the guy has a slight concussion, he'll be right back in. I don't know that I ever agreed with that.
McMahon doesn't look comfortable with the way he feels. 2nd and short. Minnesota at the Giant 39. The Giants leading 17-10. Chris Carter in motion. And off to Graham. He'll have the first down, still on his feet. The surge gets him to the 44.
I'll tell you, the Minnesota Vikings have either softened the middle of this defense up there or they've found a soft spot in there because Scotty Graham has made some good yardage in there these last 2 plays, and it looked relatively easy.
Word from the Vikings is that Jim McMahon has a bruised left shoulder to go along with all the other problems. So Salisbury is the quarterback with Scotty Graham behind him. And he fakes. Salisbury throws to Jordan. He dropped it. Was there. Good throw. Jesse Armstead on the coverage.
Yeah, the wind won't bother Sean Salisbury as much as it would Jim McMahon or even Phil Simms, because the one thing that Sean Salisbury has is a strong arm. And it takes a strong arm to be able to throw a tight spiral into a wind.
That ball was perfectly thrown by Salisbury. 2nd down. Minnesota, a good-looking drive. The handoff fake. Handoff outside to Jordan, who makes the catch this time. And is down at about the 27 by Michael Brooks. Not a first down.
And you can tell that Steve Jordan has a bad knee there because what he would have liked to have done, you see the brace on the right knee there, he would have liked to have planted that right leg and just bowl and try and get a first down, and he couldn't. He just kind of had to stand there and take the tackle.
Clock running down with the Vikings 3rd and 3, running down in the 3rd quarter. Anthony Carter in motion. Salisbury. The pass was caught and dropped. Incomplete. Anthony Carter had it and saw it go through his arms. And we're going to see Rivez.
Again,
I believe.
Yeah, and he's going to have to kick the ball into the wind because there's nothing that they can do about it. Now, like you say, Carter had the ball. That was a good throw. Carter had the ball.
They're going to go for it,
He just dropped it.
No Rivez. On 4th and short, they're going for it. Against the wind.
Well, they probably figured, they do this in the pregame warm-up. Sean Salisbury's taking a timeout now, but they always go into pregame warm-up and determine at what point you can kick a field goal. He probably couldn't kick it this far in the pregame warm-up.
I don't think he could either. Galuiso, who's a very strong leg, I know couldn't.
Your back works hard all day. You need Sealy Posturepedic support all night. Sealy's Sense and Response support system has patented coils Unlike other premium coils, Sealy's gives easily at first for comfort. Then, as weight increases, it responds with increasing support, correct support. And only Sealy Posturepedic has this steel span foundation with steel beams, not wood. Posturepedic support, only from Sealy.
26 seconds left in the third quarter of the NFC Wildcard game between the Vikings and the Giants. It's fourth, and the Vikings need about 3 yards.
And Denny Green is probably thinking that that's the longest quarter he's ever been involved in his life, the third quarter of this game, because things have changed dramatically for his Vikings.
The Giants got 2 touchdowns. He had the lead 10-3, and now he's behind 17-10. Anthony Carter in motion. Salisbury will throw it. Over the middle to Jordan, who is hammered by Armstead. The ball is over his head, and the Giants take over. Almost took his head off.
Yeah, the ball had already gone through there before Armstead almost took his head off. See, they were thinking there that they were going to throw the ball twice, because if they were going for a field goal, what they could have done was run on third down, got into the fourth quarter, and kicked the field goal going the other direction. But I think they were figuring, you know, let's be aggressive. We're the underdog. We're on the road. Let's go for 2 passes. Because if you were going for a field goal, you would have run on third down, run out the clock, got into the fourth quarter, kicked it going the other way.
1st and 10 Giants. The ball at their own 27. Sims has almost got a throw. Going deep. Incomplete. Intended for Callaway. That'll stop the clock, and they'll have a chance to throw it again.
You know, one thing that they have to watch out for is if you're gonna throw it, then you would hope that you would be able to punt it in, you know, with the wind too. But if you throw it, then get into the fourth quarter and then have to punt it into the wind.
Yep.
So you got, you know, in this game, when you play here in January in a game like this, you got all kinds of different strategies in addition to the football.
A lot of thinking going on. Here's Sims back to throw. Screen pass coming up to Hampton. And he is tripped up immediately by Jack Del Rio, and what a play he made. And the clock continues to run on the pass completion, the screen pass completion. That's the end of the third quarter with the score. The Giants 17, the Vikings 10. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
John, how you doing? You know, AutoZone customers are pretty special. I mean, they take great pains in doing a job just right. So they know exactly what they want. That's why we carry so many parts. And also why we price them so low every day of the week. Because you gotta admire a guy who'll tackle a job like putting in a starter, a water pump, a rack and pinion. And you gotta give a guy like that exactly what he wants. The right parts and the right price.
It's a Big Mac ice attack with the 1994 John Hancock USA Hockey Tour. Saturday, January 15th, Team USA faces off against Team Canada for a night of hard-hitting, high-flying international hockey. Catch all the excitement as America's best prepare for the Winter Games in Lillehammer. Pick up your tickets at McNichol's box office or any Ticketmaster outlet. One night, one game. Saturday, January 15th at Big Mac. Presented by the Denver Post and Colorado 7. The puck stops here.
The Ford Ranger is one hot truck, and right now I've got a sale on them that's even hotter. I've got 4x4 Super Cab Rangers, all blowout priced at just $14,488. You'd expect to pay almost $19 grand, but they're all going out the door for just $14,488. It's one of the hottest trucks ever made, the 1994 Ranger Super Cab 4x4. Just $14,488. While they last at Mike Naughton Ford.
Or call nationwide 1-800-BIG-MIKE.
The Milburn Minute, only on Colorado 7 News.
That's coming up. The opening ceremonies for the All-Madden team.
Yep.
10th annual.
We don't know who's going to be honored or where or anything. We just got some of those guys running around just to air them out a little.
And they've all carried a torch. Somebody jumped again. Might have been Bob Kratz that moved early. Ed Hockley will let us know.
False start prior to the snap by the offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
Once again, you're in the shotgun. Now, Kratz is in a thing. He doesn't have a hand down. That's a pass protection position, if you wonder what you call that position.
I call it a hunker.
Yeah, it's a hunker. Well, he's hunkered down, all ready to take away that inside move, stepping with that inside foot, but he did it too soon.
Sims comes out of the pocket again, throws the screen pass to Meggett. Meggett's surge gets up to about the 29, just short of the 30. Not enough for the first down. Chris Dolman chased him down, and the Giants will have to punt against the wind, which I believe, unless I'm badly wrong, has diminished just a little bit.
I don't know that it ever does. I mean, you know, the Vikings again are short. You see there they have a guy on each number. They're playing for that directional punt.
Anthony Carter and Chris Carter back for Horan's punt. Anthony Parker and Anthony Carter it is. Horan gets off a pretty good kick this time. Parker signals fair catch, and the Vikings will take over at their own 30. 40-yard kick. Well done.
Inside a contemporary sedan, you'd expect a driver's seat to be tuned for greater support. It would recline and have lumbar adjustments for even greater comfort. And in a car this thoughtful, you might even expect to find a convenient place from which to conduct business. But this interior can't be found in any car. A car just couldn't handle the workload. New Dodge Ram. Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
Everybody who was famous, every actor, every industrialist, but a lot of pretty shady people as well, traveled on this trade. Everyone wants to see something new and sort of be refreshed by a new experience. American Express has always had a great reputation in tourism. The American Express customer is our sort of customer.
American Express is welcomed on the Orient Express and for other moving experiences.
You can feel it deep inside. Dedication and a real sense of pride. And you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser. Proud to be your bud. Proud to be your bud. Ooh, yeah. Proud to be your. Proud to be your bud.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
Rodney Hampton of the Giants, 2 touchdowns, 23 carries, 128 yards. Jim McMahon, the Viking quarterback, has been knocked out twice. Minnesota 58 rushing yards, the Giants 145, most of it by Hampton.
If you watch that last punt, Pat, you're going to see that Anthony Parker here really should have returned this ball. They're waiting for the directional kick. They didn't get it. But there was no one, if we stop it now, there was no one within 15 yards of Anthony Parker.
Scotty Graham tripped up as he crosses the 30 to the 31 by Mark Collins.
One of the things about this Minnesota Viking team that has really hurt them all year, they've played solid defense, good defense all year. Their offense has been up and down, but has kind of come along in the last 3 or 4 games. But their special teams has never really been a strength, and in some games has gotten them beaten.
We saw one against New Orleans. Tice and Tunnell are the 2 tight ends. And the handoff is to Graham. Scotty Graham into Giant territory across the 50 to the 48. Stopped by Guyton and Jackson.
Yeah, the one thing Scotty Graham says is when you run and you're going to start to the left, the guy you have to sell is this nose tackle. Sell that you're going here before you can cut back. Now, if you can sell him that you're coming here, then you can make that move to the backside. And you'll see that he starts left, then he sells it right there. He sold the nose tackle. That got Howard blocked. Then he could make that cutback.
Now they go with 4 wide receivers. Salisbury taking a long time, but has time. Sack back at the 45 by Mike Fox again. He's had a big game.
Mike Fox is playing the best that I've ever seen him. I mean, he has made big plays. This is his third. He was the guy that hit McMahon twice. He's the guy that gets Salisbury here. They spread out. You see the pass rush. Fox is coming from the inside, and right there, he gets Sean Salisbury. Fox plays outside on regular things, and he plays inside on passing down.
On second down, Salisbury is back. Carter open, but it was tipped way back at the line of scrimmage by Corey Miller.
And as you say, Corey Miller tips that, and it's lucky that it was tipped. It was Lawrence Taylor who tipped it, but it was lucky that it was tipped because Anthony Carter is wide open down there. Watch Lawrence Taylor. Sometimes things happen downfield, sometimes at the line of scrimmage. That one happened at the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 15. Salisbury fakes the draw play, throws. It'll be a Viking first down. It's Chris Carter lost the ball, and the Giants get it. Popped out of his hands, caught by Greg Jackson. Greg Jackson caught the ball in midair after it came loose from Carter.
That was a perfect throw to Chris Carter there. You see him. He's running that slant inside. He has the ball. He starts to run to make a move. The ball just bobbles out. Greg Jackson has come across, and it just comes right into his hand. Which Carter's starting to make moves. The ball comes out from behind. He tips it once and tips it right into Greg Jackson. Whoop.
And so the Giants take over at their own 15. And now they're operating against the wind.
I think it was Myron Guyton, though, that came in from behind and knocked that ball out of Chris Carter's hands.
I think you're right. 1st and 10. Tillman is the deep back. Toss back to Lewis Tillman. There's nothing there. The Vikings converge in a hurry. It'll make 2nd and about 12. Let's see what happens to Guyton.
Yeah, well, you're going to see Guyton, number 29, see him come back in there and reach in there with that right hand. That knocked it out of Chris Carter's right hand into his left hand. Then he bounced it with his left hand right into Greg Jackson.
It is 2nd and 12. Hampton back deep. Gets the carry. Hampton comes back, and Hampton. Another good run by Rodney Hampton. Gets outside the 20. Dolman on the stop. Both teams today have scored with the wind, none against the wind.
I think you knew that coming in, that, you know, unless there was going to be some running type drive, that's the way it was going to be, because I think both teams' approach, although the Minnesota approach in the first half wasn't as conservative, but both teams' approach has been poor field position and more conservative play going into the win.
3rd and 3. Hampton is the deep back. Will not get to carry, and Sims dumps it to Hampton. And he struggles for a first down. The pass from Sims to Hampton will move the sticks.
You know, one thing we were talking about the All-Madden team and, you know, and having the 10th anniversary and all that. This is one guy that's going to be on it.
How about Phil Sims?
Well, Phil Sims will be on it too. But Rodney Hampton, the way that he played in the second half of last week's game, where he just came out there against the Cowboys and took it to them. Although they didn't win, they went into overtime. And the way he's played the second half of this game.
He's been terrific. Henry Thomas just limped off. McMahon loosening up again. First down, Giants at their own 27. They'll take their time now. That's Hampton. Falls forward for a couple. Stopped by Dolman.
You know, against Phoenix, it looked like he was getting hit and going down easy first half. But in the second half of last week's game, and this, you can see the first guy got him 4, second guy 9, third 9, and 4 or more 8 times. So Rodney Hampton, if you're going to tackle him, you better bring a whole bunch of guys.
25 carries, 139 yards for Hampton. Second down, about 8. Pierce in motion, Sanders to Hampton. Not much this time, but he still surges forward for a couple outside the 30. Stopped by Ed McDaniel. Yards after contact, 93.
Well, he's made 160 yards, and then of those 160, he's made 93 yards after the first contact. So I think that in the first half, I think the Vikings were really doing a good job of crisp tackling, but I don't think they have in the second half.
Third down. No offside. Sims had a man in his face, gets it off to Hampton. And tremendous strength surge by Hampton gets him up to the 35, but not enough for a first down.
One thing they were worried, you watch Chris Dolman here, they were worried, how is Eric Moore going to do against Chris Dolman? I think Eric Moore has done a good job all day against Chris Dolman. Dolman tried to take an inside there, got a little help from Brian Williams, but you know, they keep a tight end on that side. They've given him a little help, but Eric Moore has also played well today.
Horan back to punt. Lines it. They're caught by Anthony Carter. About as well as he could do against the wind. First down, Minnesota, 34-yard punt.
The Gulf of Mexico, where world-class fishermen like Jim come to battle the big boys.
Jim, you got one.
Yeah, hey, this calls for a celebration. How about a cold O'Doul's?
Thanks.
Only 70 calories and non-alcohol. Because out here, you never know what's biting.
When you want the refreshing taste of beer without all the alcohol, think O'Doul's. It's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer.
We offer something no full-size pickup ever has: 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. We've thoughtfully provided a driver's airbag. Of course, we've also designed the frame and body to distribute the forces of a frontal impact and installed high-strength steel door beams to help resist the forces of a side impact. Of all the jobs this new truck was designed to handle, none is as important as the one we hope it never has to do. New Dodge Ram, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
With full confidence, I submit to you an affordable economic package.
Senator, this will cost only $10.99.
$10.99.
The man's an idiot.
I'll say it again.
Would somebody call security?
$10.99.
What could anyone possibly get for $10.99?
I'm glad you asked.
Bigfoot Pizza from Pizza Hut with that special crust delivered for only $10.99.
Hey, Dad, who's going to sponsor this bill?
Bigfoot Pizza, a legendary value.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League Conference Wildcard Game is sponsored by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation. The American Express card, don't leave home without it. O'Doul's, what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer. And by Pizza Hut, anytime's a great time to stop and smell the pizza.
The Giants lead 17-10. There's Jim McMahon. The Vikings have the ball. The handoff is to Gray. He got a yard. Stopped by Brooks.
Now, Michael Brooks, they thought that, you know, he hurt his foot. He had like a sprained foot, and they thought they were going to put it in a cast, and he had missed 5 or 6 weeks, and he missed 2 or 3 weeks, and he's not playing at 100%, but I think just his presence out there really helps this Giant defense.
2nd and 9. Salisbury back to throw. Gets it upfield, complete at midfield to Chris Carter. And now they're saying incomplete. Carter came up with the ball. It'll bring up a big 3rd down for Minnesota. Let's look again.
The Vikings have been finding open areas right in here in this Giant defense. And they've been having trouble with it, you know, like dropping the ball, catching it, and having a fumble after that, having the ball tipped and so on. This one here is a good throw.
3rd and 9. They're 1 out of 12 on 3rd down situation. Salisbury, the ball gets away from him, and they'll have to punt. Collins is hurt.
Collins has been gutting it up all day, Pat. That left knee. We saw him yesterday in the locker room, and he could hardly walk, and I didn't see there was any way he would be able to play cornerback in this game, and he's been doing it all day.
He was walking just about like that.
That's how he was walking. You say there's no way that the guy can play, but talk about a tough guy. I'll tell you, Mark Collins is, and he's had a heck of a year. He just got that at the end of his somersault.
Newsom back to punt it to Dave Megan. High kick. Megan's going to hail it and go right down. At about the 18, make it to 17, where the Giants will take over, and now the clock becomes very much a factor.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. The New York Giants are playoff bound, partly due to a couple of defensive additions this year. One is their leading tackler, the other their spiritual leader. Number 54, Carlton Bailey, and Michael Brooks, number 94. A pair of hard-charging linebackers who've made the 93 Giants the best they can be.
It isn't the night or even the fog that gets you. It's when the team leader puts you in charge for the first time. And you decide to drop right inside Alpha Team's backyard. That's when you find out how good you really are.
We labored to make the new Dodge Ram the standard for quietness in a pickup. We triple sealed the doors. We coated the hinges with friction-reducing material. And to help eliminate wind noise, we even came up with a special sound-deadening antenna cover. As pleasant and comfortable as our new truck is, we just couldn't allow it to whistle while it works. New Dodge Ram, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
It'll be one of these two teams, the Vikings or the Giants, against the 49ers at Candlestick next week. The Packers will play the Cowboys here on CBS next week. 1st and 10, Giants. Hampton is the lone setback. Bill Sims will take his time. To Rodney Hampton. Hit by McMillan. There was a hole for a moment. McMillan filled it.
Yeah, this is how you can tell, Pat, that it's really cold out. When you got to take a stick and you got to stick it in your Gatorade so you can loosen it up.
Got to be a song there, breaking up that old Gatorade of mine. Or
here's what I like, though. Look at the guy.
With his
when
fingers.
You're sticking stick in there, you don't know where that stick's been. Then you might as well stick your fingers in there, too. And then who's going to drink it? You know, when you get in the game, you don't even care.
No.
Who cares where stuff's been?
Drink it anyway. 2nd down. Sims gives to Hampton. Hampton's got some room. Gets up to the 25. You know, we've talked about many times where are the best sports fans anywhere. These people who come to the Giant games and I've been here as a player and a long time as an announcer, they are the best. They're the most loyal. In weather conditions like this, they've had sellout after sellout. I like to pay tribute.
Yeah, and I think you should. I mean, not only, are they the loyal fans, but they're knowledgeable fans, and they understand football and they understand defense, and that's what I like. I mean, they understand down, distance, situation, all those things.
It's been a long time, and I'd just like to say thank you. Sims looking, has a lot of time now. Just grounds it and throws it out of bounds.
That's it, all right.
And then you wonder how they survive. I mean, if the Gatorade is frozen, I mean, you know that. I mean, you got to take the stick to the Gatorade. I mean, how do these people do it?
Well, there are things that you could do to keep the Gatorade from freezing.
What's that?
The Giants will have to punt.
Sometimes it gets so cold your mask doesn't even fit. You can't even get your eyes in the eye hole.
Durant's kick is a good one. Handled by Anthony Carter. He slides away from tacklers and gets to the 47-yard line. Stopped by Whitmer.
Over the years, Pat, you think of big play guys. And Anthony Carter is one of those guys. I mean, Chris Carter catches more passes now and all that stuff, but if you need a big play guy, you look for him.
And McMahon is back. With Scotty Graham behind him, Jim McMahon. Gives Graham the handoff. There's nothing, and McMahon is going to have to throw it. They're not going to catch up with the wind like that.
This front line, here you see Keith Hamilton playing this side, but this front line has done an excellent job of these Giants today. I mean, they've gotten penetration. They've gotten into the backfield. Keith Hamilton was the guy that, got there along with Fox to knock down McMahon and so on, but they've been as active today, this front three of the Giants, as I've seen them in a long time.
Here's McMahon. To Graham, who dropped it. Not going to do any good to pick it up in a hurry. It's still going to be down there.
Yeah, Scotty Graham dropped that one. We remember Chris Carter had the one before he's running three. He drops one. See, these fans know this. They know third down. They know third and long. They know the quarterback can't hear. They know that they can't audibilize. These fans know this down and distance.
The trumpet might be frozen, but you can still play it. Here's McMahon. Incomplete. Ismail had it, juggled it, and lost it. As Collins, back in the game, made the hit.
Talk about guys and gutsy guys. You have to say that, Mark Collins, he was injured in practice last Thursday it was.
Nice, staying in on the special teams.
He's an amazing guy.
He really is.
And you have to give that credit.
This will be the 8th Minnesota punt. Anderson's kick is good and high. Megan signals fair catch. Made it. Down to the ground at the 17, where the Giants will take over 1st and 10. They lead 17-10.
You see guys like Mark Collins walking off the field. You see Jim McMahon, Warriors, and that makes football kind of pure. These guys are getting paid $7,500 for this game. But everyone is laying it on the line, giving everything they got. This game isn't about money. This game is about playoffs. This game is about finality. It's about the winner going on and playing the 49ers. It's about the loser being through for the year.
The winner of this plays the 49ers next week. That'll be on Saturday. Then on Sunday at 12:30, the Cowboys entertain the Packers. Hampton is behind bunch. Just just over 4 minutes remaining. Hampton. Hit by Del Rio. And Lamar McGriggs.
You know, a side over there that's done a heck of a job all day is Bob Cratch. And, you know, guys that on this Giant team that don't get much credit, it's Cratch and Riesenberg. You know, you talk about Jumbo Elliott when he's playing and Roberts and Oates and so on, but these guys have really done a good job, I think, all year.
Week after week.
And you never mention them. You know, and these are the guys that, when the big plays come, a lot of Rodney Hampton's big plays have been on that side.
And they've been nicked up, they've been hurt, but they've played all year long. Here's Sims to Hampton. Rodney Hampton tries to stretch it out for a first down. McGriggs made the tackle. The Giants own the time of possession, as they usually do. Third down and about a yard or a yard and a half. 3+ left in the ball game and the trip to San Francisco. That's next Saturday, the winner of this game. 3rd and 1. Pointing to his left, they send Jackson in motion. The give is to Hampton. First down, Giants. That's a big one.
And again, Hampton's going to take that ball and he's going to run it right in there. He's going to take it right in there behind these guys and say, this is where we want to go. Let's whap it right up in there. Brian Williams is the center. Bob Cratch again gets his guy turned, and that's the hole.
And that's where they went. Minnesota takes a timeout. Now they have only 31 carries for Hampton, 160 yards.
And I'll tell you, these fans enjoy that. They knew that that was a big third down play. They didn't want to have to punt then with 3 minutes to go, punt into the wind. By getting that gives them more time. It makes the Minnesota Vikings take a timeout. And I think it lets the Giants fans start to celebrate, but you don't want to celebrate too soon.
Minnesota led at the half. Lawrence Taylor. You know, you hate to even think about it being the last game for Lawrence Taylor at Giant Stadium. Look at his career, John. I know he's always been a favorite of ours, and you're just filled with admiration.
And one of the best linebackers that I've ever seen in my life. And when you talk about dominant players, Lawrence Taylor was at one time a dominant player. I never really felt that a defensive player by himself could win a game, but there was a defensive player that could win a game by himself, and we've seen him do it.
And he was a guy where when you played and when you went to cover somebody playing the Giants, they would always say, the first thing we got to do is find out where number 56 is. First down. Hampton stopped by Barker. Today's game was produced by Bob Stinner and directed by Sandy Grossman. Thank you, gentlemen. Coordinating producer of the NFL today is Eric Mann, directed by Larry Cavallina. The senior producer of the NFL on CBS is Ed Gorin. The executive in charge of production is Rick Gentile. Mark Collins. Talk about your Warriors, competitors. Minnesota out of timeouts.
Guys that know what, you know, have been there, been in playoffs. Dan Reeves, the job that he's done. Dan Reeves was one of those guys that could take yours or take his and get to playoffs. He did it at Denver. Came here to the Giants, and in his first year,
his first move really of consequence was to say to Phil Simms, hey, you're my quarterback.
Isn't that interesting that Reeves came here and he's in the playoffs and left John Elway by himself and he's in the playoffs. Got rid of Jeff Hostetler to the Raiders and he's in the playoff. Kept Phil Simms and he's in the playoffs. So maybe all four of those guys, Dan Reeves, John Elway, Jeff Hostetler, and Phil Simms are pretty good.
Interesting, they all have Super Bowl experience. And they're all still in the playoffs. Simms on the reverse to Mark Jackson. Jackson is stopped. Stringing out as long as you can. A reverse takes longer time to get to the side of the field. That goes back a long time in football. 2 minutes left. The Giants lead by a touchdown.
Hey, we're live on Prodigy at 3:25 Eastern. Big second half for the Giants. They lead the Vikings by 7 points. And can you believe it? They're coming up against San Francisco soon. This is shaping up to be a postseason you definitely want to stay on top of. And if you're on Prodigy, you will. We've got complete stats for every team in the playoffs, reports and bulletins on the remaining games, commentary from top football experts, and more. If you're not a member, get into the huddle now. Call 1-800-979-LIVE and get live on the Prodigy service.
The new Ram pickup features a frame design so strong, it's been patented. Its available rear step bumper can pull 5,000 pounds by itself without the help of that frame. And the tie-downs in back are so strong, they can support the weight of the entire truck. We overbuilt this pickup because we were sure you'd never underwork it. New Dodge Ram, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year.
Presenting the RCA 52-inch projection screen home theater. It's bigger and brighter than almost anything out there.
Back at Giant Stadium, the NFC Wildcard Games. Pat Summerall with John Madden. The Giants leading the Vikings 17-10. The Vikings led at the half. Tim Irwin has had perhaps the best year for him he's ever had.
That's ironic. You talk about Tim Irwin, you know, in
Wildcard game after being behind at the half.
However,